All right, you two, listen. Last night we had a pretty big meeting to talk about our show, and it was more just a hangout, informal. But I realized, looking at my notes today, I did not get to talk to you about everything regarding our time and how we're going live. So I thought, let's just be transparent in the spirit of our fans and friends that are out there watching us. Like, do you care if we kind of just hash out a few things really quick before we get into the nitty gritty of this?
Sure. What do you got?
I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but like since we've been doing it, I've kind of worked on more of like the visual parts of the show. Chase does a lot of the writing for the show. Johnny doesn't do anything, but he's just here. He's the looks, and that gets you what
Sometimes
you get with the
he's not
casual
even
hour. Yeah, that's the good times. But being the one thing I did not have on here, I'm checking my notes really quick, and I have just an X. And I thought maybe we could start to talk about how we rebrand what we do here and get into our visual identity. And I feel like the casual hour logo has been pretty playful, and it's just not quite edgy enough. And I don't think it really.
Well, also, we have like this nice iconic shade of aqua blue that people know us by, and
I think it's time for a change.
Yeah.
What if
you guys think so? I thought we had a lot of brand recognition with the casual hour. But
hear me out.
Okay.
A Z.
Oh.
Z casual hour.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yep. I worked
casual hour.
The casual hour.
Well, the problem is as I was doing all this today, working on it, I was on Twitch kind of updating some stuff, and I got down to taking down our shit, and I got left with the UR, and it was stuck. Like they shut it down. I couldn't finish it. It was just stuck. All of our branding just said UR. I took away all the other letters to try and get X put up there. And I realized I was a giant fucking dumbass, is what I realized really quick. And
I realized that a long time.
Yes.
I realized that me trying to take something that was recognized by few to something that would be recognized by nobody was a dumb fucking idea. And I decided that people who think that logo design is just as simple as putting some cheap fucking monotype out there are fucking idiots. And
did you go to DeFont?
I went to the defont.com and I looked for Edge, and I found something real cool.
Hey, have you ever seen The Matrix?
Listen, we did change a few things up outside of not changing our logo because we are smart people here at the show.
Telling people how the sausage is made right now, Bobby.
I mean, hey, I had to write an article about this for work, and I did end it with, hey, if you spend $44 billion on something, it does give you the right to name it whatever the fuck you want, no matter how stupid it is. So,
yes, it's true.
Good job.
You might be rich, but you're not smart. What I will say is this.
In fact, I would say if you are rich, you probably aren't smart.
Yes. We did change a few things up. If you are watching us right now at this very moment, it is an hour and a half earlier than we normally go live. And here's the thing. We're old. I'm old. I speak for me. I'm an old man now.
I'm not old. I'm the young.
Chase is not old. He's the youth of this show.
Chase is keeping us engaged with the Zoomers.
Before we get into what we got to talk about tonight, I want to update you all on our schedule, and Chase is going to update you all on our show's future potentially, but also something that's very near and dear to him. But just know we've got a lot of fun games to talk to you about tonight. We got some really cool news. But before we get into all that, we are moving all of our programming to 9 p.m. Central instead of 10:30 p.m. Central. And that's going to allow us to just balance our lives out more. It's going to allow us to hopefully connect with more of you. We understand that not everybody can be up late. And if you are listening to this and you've only listened to it, guess what? Nothing's changing for you. You're still going to get your podcast every Friday morning. But if you're watching it, or if you ever wanted to watch it, maybe now you can't. Maybe you have an opportunity to watch it and hang out with us and see the good-looking Johnny Amizich.
If you wanted Bobby to have to explain anime on Monday nights, and you're like, man, I wish I could be the one to make him explain anime, you can.
If you want to see,
pop in at 9 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Mondays
at 9
Standard Time.
And if you wanted to see Bobby and Johnny try and figure out, are we really in a dungeon? Come by 9 p.m. on Friday and realize that we suck at Diablo. But yeah, we're switching our stuff up. We'll start to update all of our like visual cues out there of our like Twitter bios and all that stuff, or our X bios or Facebooks or whatever the fuck we're on these days, to let you all know what we're doing. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Central, twitch.tv/casual for all of our live stuff. On another update, Chase, I know that we usually talk about at the end of the show, but you run a really cool podcast. Why don't you tell the folks a little bit about what that is and maybe what's going on?
Yeah, so I have another show that I do / have done. It's called Pilot Program. A good friend of our show, Pierce Corshane, and I talk about the first episodes of every television show ever made. And I don't know if you've been reading the news, but there's a bit of a strike going on with both the Writers Guild of America and now the Screen Actors Guild of America. I don't know what the AFTRA stands for, but SAG-AFTRA and the WGA are both now in a combined strike against the studios and streaming companies and that kind of stuff, which hasn't affected anything personally. I'm not a WGA or a SAG-AFTRA member, and nobody here on this podcast is. But recently, SAG-AFTRA did put out an FAQ for podcasters, being like, "Hey, we have some kind of guidelines that we would like you to follow. If you'd like to either be in solidarity or be in compliance, and if you are interested in ever becoming a SAG-AFTRA member, or I believe it would be a WGA member as well, we're going to know if you are kind of digitally crossing the picket line and talking about material that they are striking against on your podcast." So for at least Pilot Program, we've decided to take a break. We're taking a hiatus, standing in solidarity with the writers and screen actors as they continue their strike that we fully support. So that show is going dark for now. I've asked some questions for some different podcasters and SAG-AFTRA itself how video game podcasts would go. I don't 100% know all the rules when it comes to I know there are SAG members who have worked on video games before.
Totally.
And the voice acting is part in video games. Like those video game studios aren't a part of the strike. So I don't know how that stuff fits in. I know, Bobby, not to blow up your spot a little bit, you're probably going to talk a little bit about Oxenfree 2 tonight. That is a game that we talked about recently that is owned by Netflix, one of the companies that is being struck against. Now, that's not a TV or a movie. Again, I don't know how that fills in there. It's something that we're going to keep tabs on. And if we get more clarification and they say, "Hey, we'd rather you not talk about that shit," then we'll figure out what that means for the podcast, whether we try to avoid that stuff as we talk about it on the podcast, or if we change this to some more live stream gameplay stuff for a while. But for now, we're doing this episode. Nothing's changing, and if we get more information, we'll certainly let you know. But everybody here and everybody from Pilot Program, we are big proponents of both the writers and the screen actors. We want to support them in their efforts as they continue to strike, and hopefully they can get a deal really soon that works out for them quite well. So that's basically the news here. But we will continue to do this podcast tonight, and then we'll see what happens later.
Yeah, totally. So just keep an eye out. We'll update in those channels. But we've got a lot of games to get through, so let's hop into it. Johnny.
Yeah.
Not only are we going earlier, you're going earlier, and we would love to know what you've been up to.
This was a mistake.
Well, I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart, guys. I played with you guys on Friday. And then I've played at least a couple more times with my wife and kid, specifically this Wave 5 DLC that came out where we got some remade courses. We got one new course, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Totally.
The penultimate wave. There's one final wave happening later this year, but yeah.
And we got 3 new racers. And it looks like there's 1 or 2 more spots left. Do we know who is going to be filling in?
I haven't heard anything about additional racers after this. I mean,
because on the character select screen there was a question mark, at least one, like on the furthest part of the character select screen. So be interested to see who that is. Maybe they'll put Diddy Kong in there.
That'd be fun.
yeah, we got PD Piranha, Wiggler, and Kamek, right?
Kamek's very good.
What So we had a lot of fun with that. What was your favorite course that we played?
Oh, I like the new one with the toilet and stuff. I thought that was really
yeah. The bathroom one is great.
Going down the drain, and it's dirty and gross. So yeah, not a lot more to say there. Mario Kart 8, it's really good, and I caught my son playing it by himself today.
Oh my!
There's a lot worse things you can catch yourself playing by himself.
That's true. But usually,
Sprint is the name.
That's right. Thank you, Chase.
The bathroom one. There are also. Let me just read out the names. There's also Athens Drift, which comes from Mario Kart Tour. Daisy Cruiser from the GameCube. Moonview Highway from the Wii. Los Angeles Laps from Mario Kart Tour. Sunset Wilds from the GBA. Koopa Cape from the Wii, and Vancouver Velocity from Tour. I do have to say, despite the little bit of time I put into Tour on the phone and not really loving it, I think those courses are really cool. I'm glad they've been incorporated into Mario Kart 8. They continue to be really fun and inventive. I love the way that most of these levels change lap to lap. So it does. I mean, Mario Kart has always kind of had, hey, here are some, or not always, I guess, but they've had here are ones where you do laps, and here's kind of like a big sprint that is one extremely long level. And Mario Kart 8 does a lot of those.
Some of my favorites.
Yeah, those are pretty cool when you can do those. But like this is a cool middle ground to somewhat like hybridize and be like, well, it is laps, and you're going to see parts of the track that you've seen before on previous laps, but also we've very much altered the geometry of some of this stuff. Or now
we don't alter it more.
Direction.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think that's really cool. Those have been some really neat tracks.
Yeah, it's insane the amount of stuff that they put into this game. Continues to.
It's pretty bonkers that they've been able to keep this thing going in such a way. Well, not only that, but like just how popular it was jumping to the Switch and continued to be. I think it's been like one of the top 3 selling games since it came to the Switch.
Yeah. It's so much fun. It's so easy to pick up and play with friends.
Well, and I think, that's the point too. Like it's one of the most, to me, compelling reasons to subscribe to a higher tier of their online service to get, because these courses have been phenomenal. I think they're better than most of the things that have been in 8 by itself, but it's cool, and it's been a really a fun thing for all of us to go back to here at the show and bring in some of our friends to hang out with us here on stream. That's been one of my favorite things we've done with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we even talked about it a little bit on that stream, but kind of a where do they go from here after they finish Wave 6? What happens then? Because it's still an extremely popular game. Do you make a Mario Kart 9 for the next Nintendo console? Do you need it? Like I feel like we've kind of gotten there with games like Mario Kart and Smash Brothers, where it was
you take that 8, you flip it on its side. Mario Kart Infinite.
Sure, but like that's basically
every course is here.
That's the problem, though. I feel like they've kind of figured it out. Like we're at a point with Smash, we're at a point with Mario Kart where it's we like this. This is the baseline. I feel like we've had this with consoles as well, where it's like we like these consoles. Stop making brand new crazy ones. Just slightly upgrade the ones we have, because we just want this. Don't let our libraries go away. Like, or if we go to Mario Kart 9 and that thing has, I don't know, how many do they usually have? 24 tracks, something like that. If we go down to this is the regular amount of tracks that we normally have in one of these games, I'm going to go, well, fuck, 8 Deluxe has all those fucking tracks. That's just bring them all back in.
I think that they'll need to evolve that series somehow to justify whatever the next version of Mario Kart is.
I think this is a terrible idea, so Nintendo, please close your ears to say it, but like if Nintendo wasn't so terrible at this should be a subscription service. This should be.
That's exactly what I think.
Yeah. It's just if you call it Mario Kart Infinite and we just keep adding tracks to it, and you just keep on the subscription service and they keep throwing you a new track or two every couple months, like that makes a certain amount of sense. even if I still want just a boxed product that I can put on my
Well, and the other thing
console and
that
say,
allows
"That's
them
what I
to
play."
do is you get all these characters that get new games, right? Like maybe when Luigi's Mansion comes out, they do something with that. Like Luigi in the game now has an update to it, or Cappy is now something that you get in the, like they could do events also around some of the releases of these
Sure.
games to celebrate
Yeah,
it.
there's plenty of stuff they could do. It's just it feels daunting now.
Yeah.
And they have done some of that in the past. Like there is a Luigi's Mansion style course in the Nintendo DS Mario Kart, and he's got a vacuum cleaner style
true.
Poltergust 3000 cart. So they have done some of that. I mean, we've also talked. Lots of people have talked about Smash Kart. Okay, when do you bring in all these people? And they kind of already have done that too. Link is in the game. The Animal Crossing is in that game.
Yeah,
Sonic.
that's true.
Put Sonic in there.
Sure, why not? He's got his own racing game. Like, just combine them. Just combine them at that
buy
point.
them.
Yeah, Sonic
Do
and
it.
Mario at the Mario Kart
That's the new
Olympics.
hotness.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. And then these next two will be relatively brief. Bobby and I have a wager that if I don't finish Tears of the Kingdom by August 3rd, I have to, which is when Baldur's Gate 3 releases, I have to buy him lunch.
How's it going?
I have more than half of the tiers now, and I have one temple. I think I'll have to put some hours in, but
One temple to go.
I can get there. Yes, I have the desert temple left. I feel like I can get there. I'm gonna have.
Aren't you sure that there's like some cool new shit going on with like Street Fighter or something?
I mean, there is, but
there is. I'm gonna get to that.
That's
but
the reason you're going. That's the reason you're going to get your food, Bobby.
So
yes.
yeah, I've got my big fancy collector's edition guide. I've been using that to like see where all the tiers are at on the map. So it is going to be a more streamlined experience.
Are you following that guide I gave you on like what order to get them in?
I mean, they're numbered. Like it tells me the sequential order.
I sent you that link on the one, like if it's the same in the book, which I'm assuming it would be, but I think that there's a cool, like the story. If you come across a tier organically in the game, like it might not be one.
No, I'm going like this is number one.
Okay,
it's telling me the order I should go, and it's been going like chronologically. Like these are the sequential events that are taking place.
Hey, that Matt Mercer, he chews up every bit of scenery he gets.
He's
doesn't
so
he?
good as Ganondorf.
He's fantastic.
That game fucking rules. I have to tell you,
it's incredible.
We've talked about it ad nauseum.
Yeah.
I need to get back to it. I keep saying I need to get back to it, but I actually really do need to do that.
I'm going to Indiana this weekend with my family and some friends and their kids.
It's a burn weekend there. That's just one less weekend.
Taking my Switch with me. I'm not bringing my Steam Deck, so I won't be tempted to play Street Fighter. I will only have Zelda, and I'm gonna.
Yeah, but then your kid's gonna go, oh, I want to play Mario Kart. I really needed this time to play the.
Yeah, Zelda. I can't. Okay. I don't want to buy Bobby lunch.
Yeah, I want you to.
So we'll see. I'm not like. It's doable, right?
You can afford a lunch.
Yeah,
you can.
Give me an excuse to hang out with my buddy. The surprise, the only other thing that I've been playing besides Mario Kart and Zelda is Street Fighter 6. This was the big Rashid update. Rashid being a character that was first introduced in 5, I think. And it was a big patch. They balanced some stuff. They added some new features to the gameplay.
He's got like wind moves, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he has wind attacks, and he is a lot of fun.
You have a new main?
No, I don't.
I don't have mains. I have a main every week. It's just you don't main shit besides disappointment. That's what you main.
Wow. All right, that's harsh. I think Rashid's really cool. He's got some really awesome moves. And it's gotten to the point where I can pick up pretty much any of those characters that are in the game.
Any of your mains.
Any of my mains.
Yeah.
And it's
Cammy, Ken, Luke,
Rashid.
Blanca.
Rashid. No, I can't do charge characters. Those confuse me.
Sure.
You confuse me.
And I'm good at this game. I am good at Street Fighter. And
do you look in the mirror and tell you that every day?
Yeah, I do.
I don't mean to lessen your accomplishments, John. I mean, I do, but I also don't. Like, you're good at modern control Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are pros that use modern controls or start using modern controls.
There are pros who use tilt controls in Mario Kart. They say it right on the screen. I'm using tilt controls.
Why are you trying to take a big shit on me right now?
Because it's you.
I know.
Because the modern controls simplify
I'm very
things.
proud of you. And you said you've been playing off pod. You've said you've been playing your friend who is very good at this game. He's
they're platinum.
Platinum Blanca.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never gotten a Platinum Blanca before, I'll tell you.
Honey, what's wrong with you? You're not even touching your Platinum Blanca.
But you're kind of holding your own there.
Yeah, I played tens of hours using the classic controls, and I got the fundamentals, but I was just having such a hard time nailing, stringing moves together.
Roll that back again. What did you do?
Yeah, everyone knows Shohei Ohtani spent tens of hours working at baseball before he decided, I'm good at this. You know what they say about practice? You got to spend 10 hours.
When did you become an expert? I don't know. Tens of hours ago?
Tens, like 50 hours probably.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Go on.
Not true. That's impossible.
All right, I'm done.
No. Well, that's the second time I've heard that from you this week.
I'm glad you like Rashid. Rashid seems cool. I remember seeing him in Evo tournaments.
I do have a legit question for Johnny on this. Has that new controller helped you get good?
No, I got good at the fundamentals while I was using that controller, right? So that was the point I was trying to get to. Sure.
God damn it. We're so mean.
And that was the breakthrough that I needed, was to get understand the fundamental part of the game. And now I am competent with pretty much any other character I pick up, and once I go through their quick tutorial, I can I'm not Justin Wong or Daigo or anybody, obviously.
Oh, don't sell yourself short.
But this is the first time I've ever felt like I could hold my own against someone who's decent at this game. And that's cool. That's a cool feeling. And I was going to end this before you guys decided to just be big jerks. I got to gold with Zangief.
Hey!
So
Congrats.
that was...
Oh, right. Zangief, your main. I'm sorry. I forgot about that main that you are.
Zangief sounds like a flavor of hamburger helper.
I mean, he looks like a flavor of hamburger helper. He's a beefy man,
Worst dynamite, baby.
Johnny, you can buy me lunch. Please just order a box of hamburger helper Zangief. Please.
That's the San Francisco treat, right? Zangief.
Damn.
So I did look up Evo soon. It's August 4th. Starts August 4th.
I'm very curious to hear Johnny's contributions this year to that. I'm assuming that they're going to be playing this game, right?
Oh, yes, it's been announced. Street Fighter 6 is on.
So the main.
We've dabbled in coverage on that, but I'm really curious.
I've dabbled in coverage on that.
The royal we. Tens of hours has gone into watching Evo.
Yes, that's right. We've spent tens of hours. Fast. I would be very interested if
you remember
Johnny
that Tenacious D song about Kyle quitting the band?
No.
Yeah.
That's me right now.
Yeah. Okay. Man,
well, we had a meeting last night. You said you love doing this, so
Pierce, you're in. Get out of the chat. Get into the Discord.
Johnny, I'm happy you're happy. I want to hear more from you about Evo, and
I really hope you watch Evo this year.
Same.
Because I plan on doing it, especially for Street Fighter, because I am interested in watching that.
It will be cool to watch it as someone who has consumed a lot of stuff from people active in the community, and also a lot of the game. Over 150 now. I would
love to hear your expert opinion as we discuss Evo. If you can get into the FGC players' minds as they
that's right,
as they do their
little fight. That's a meaty.
Sure, yeah. You love a good meaty and overheads. I hear overheads are quite good.
Is that plus or minus?
Oh yeah. Ooh, is it plus
on fierce?
Sure.
Yep.
Johnny,
I can say bullshit words too.
Yes, Bobby.
Just to recap with you, you talked a little bit about playing Mario Kart 8 Wave 5, specifically with us and your family. You are going to buy me lunch and for not completing Tears of the Kingdom by August 3rd, which is to get you ready for Baldur's Gate 3, a week from today, a week from today, or tomorrow, week from tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And then you are pumped because you've got a nice patch and update for Street Fighter 6, the Rashid update, and you're going to be playing some Evo or watching some Evo. Anything else that you wanted to cover before we move on?
No, those are all the big beats. Just waiting for Baldur's Gate 3 to come out. I'm very excited to check that out with you and by myself.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right, y'all. I'll run through some stuff here. I beat Dave the Diver. That game is so fucking good. It's dumb. Rules. It's self-aware. It only gets better. There's still a lot to do for me. Like they've got like weekly stuff to go back. Not like a weekly, but there's an in-game thing about finding unique fish that you can go and do. And there's still a lot of recipes and shit, but I thoroughly enjoyed my time with that one. Dave the Diver is out on PC only right now. It was developed by Mint Rocket. It came out June 28th. It will set you back $19.99. I can't say enough good stuff about it. We'll talk more about that at the end of the year. Moving on, Chase and I got together on Monday night for Casual Mondays, where we play strategy, run-based, turn-based games. And we checked out a game called Let's Revolution. And this is a really neat game, I think, in its concept. It's a light strategy game. It is a run-based game where you are unlocking characters that you can play with. But Chase, I think you called this out on our stream on Monday that it's got a little bit of Minesweeper to it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, that was something I saw other people saying online, and when you actually watch the game being played, you definitely see it. Like the whole idea is about these tiles that are either face up or face down, and when you are on a tile that it becomes face up, it gives you a little number to tell you, kind of give you an idea of what's around you
the roads specifically.
Navigate. Yeah.
So there's roads that go through each map, and on those roads are enemies. You have you start with a cooldown ability, and then you have some consumables that you can use, but there are going to be your standard fare on these run-based games. You're going to have a spot to heal up. You're going to have a spot to upgrade your abilities. It's really cleverly put together. I love the artwork on it. I think it's got a hell of a style to it. And
one of the things I think is really cool, you mentioned it on the stream, is that it does feel a little bit like Into the Breach in some way, where it has a number of different characters you can choose to play as, and those characters drastically change not just the way you play, but the way you even view the game. Because it is like we said, it's a game about kind of flipping tiles as you walk on them and kind of go through this dungeon. But some characters want to make all the tiles flip face up, and you get bonuses by doing that, or you're able to navigate the tiles in such a way where you can go through one by one, whereas other characters want to keep as many tiles face down as possible, and they in fact want to flip tiles back over to keep them to the point where you don't see what's on them, so they're flipped down. And then that's their way of fighting enemies, is when an enemy is flipped over instead of being revealed on the map. And I think that's super cool.
This is the Wrestling Hulks, I think, that we called out. Like this one character working in the shadow, like, you could use the smoke attack with that.
Where you like hop over Into the Breach, you like hop over an enemy, you put smoke down over it, so it stops the enemy from attacking, and it does some damage. And in this one, there is kind of, I forgot what they call it. Is it like a cartwheel or something? Like some kind of flip.
Yeah, cartwheel that goes over and flips the tile.
Yeah, flips the tile, and then you can use another dagger ability to do pretty massive damage to that enemy when it's already flipped over, where it can't do any damage back to you. It's some really cool mechanics, and just the way you're thinking about, I need to tackle this problem in a completely different way because I'm playing as a different character. I think that stuff was really, really cool.
Totally. You teased it at the beginning of the episode, and I don't have a lot to share just yet, but I did start playing Oxenfree 2, and conveniently, Pierce, if you're listening, I know that you, me, and Chase all hung out and talked about Oxen Free on Chase's other podcast, Gamers on the
A
Go.
game I famously loved.
Chase did not like it. And I don't have near enough time yet to really speak about what this is doing differently. I've probably put in maybe like a half hour at this point. I'm playing this on my iPad, and this is the reason I'm playing it is Oxenfree 2 is developed by Night School Studio, who was acquired by Netflix. And if you have a Netflix subscription, this game is now included with that on mobile, but it's also available to purchase on Steam. It's $20. I got to tell you, it plays really, really well on iPad. And
are you using a controller or the touchscreen?
No, it's all touch, and it works great. So the whole concept of Oxenfree was it's very supernatural, kind of Stranger Things adjacent. It did come out before Stranger Things did. I think actually a few months, if I'm not mistaken, before Stranger Things did. And it's definitely tapping into like that Spielberg era. It was fine. Like I didn't think it was like an earth-shattering game. I thought it was a perfectly cromulent, just adventure game with some supernatural undertones.
It's all right.
Yeah. This one was pretty much the same core concept. You have a walkie-talkie that you're interacting with your friends with, but you're also tuning a radio that allows you to open some rifts into other dimensions and other weird shit. So to answer your question, Johnny, they've done a great job with, if you need to dial the radio, you just swipe the radio with your finger.
Okay.
And then if they're, well, the way that they did the interactivity with the characters, there's 3 different speech bubbles that were mapped to your face buttons, and you just tap on the bubble you want. And if you want to move your character, you just tap on the screen and they'll walk there. And I like that because I find if I'm like, okay, I want to move over to this spot, I can, just kind of like take my hands off, listen and read. I will suggest playing with headphones. I think that makes a pretty big difference so far in what I've experienced. But the early impression is the visuals look good. The art style on it, I like the style. They've made a few enhancements, not a lot, but it is just an incredibly impressive voice acting. Like you might not like what they're saying, you might not be hip to some of the lingo. It's not nearly as tween as what the other one was. This is a little bit more I would say like late 20s if I'm guessing on people's age here. But the way that the game
take place like 5 years after the first game, so that does make some sense. Although I have heard that you don't really need to have played the first game to play the second one.
From what they haven't so far alluded to anything.
Disconnected or
but I think so far it's done a pretty good job of presenting itself like very quick into the game, kind of what you're going to be doing. So I might continue going with it. It's been a nice, very kind of like easy laid back thing on the iPad, but I don't have a whole lot more to tell you. Like it's exactly like the old one, or it's just the mechanics are still there from the previous one. There might be some new shit.
Yeah, let me ask one question about mechanics, because one of the things that bothered me, I mean, it was kind of the cool feature. It was a pet feature that they kept talking about, and it's one that I enjoyed in theory but did not like in practice, was the interrupting of the dialogue.
Yeah.
Where I think that's a really cool idea of being able to just interrupt and interject and say the next line. And it made it feel more natural to the way people talk, where sometimes they'll just talk over each other. Listen to our podcast, we do it all the time. But in practice, for me, it felt like I was ruining the dialogue because, or cheating myself out of dialogue, because I would, if you use the interrupt, then they're never going to finish that line. Maybe they had more to say that would have been interesting and I want to hear. And so it always just kind of rubbed me the wrong way of like, I appreciate what they're doing, but it's just not like I'm missing out. And do you still feel like, if they've done anything to kind of, I don't even know what they would do, but have you felt like they have done anything to alleviate some of that?
I'm glad you bring that up. It's a really valid point, and it's a really improved point. I think back to like the days of Grand Theft Auto 4, I think is when I first kind of was like, oh shit, like this thing came on, they picked the conversation back up when we got back in the car. That's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Here, not like you might get interrupted, but it feels so fucking organic on how they bring it back to you. And so it'll be like, okay, this thing happens, like maybe you're talking to your partner and then your walkie-talkie goes off, you take it, and like it all kind of ends, and then it comes back to, oh yeah, hey, actually, what were you just saying? I'm so sorry about that. And then like it goes into that conversation with the person, and I think it still gives you that experience where you get to hear that voice acting, you get to hear that story beat, and there is an interruption that feels urgent, like, hey, come in, this is something's going on. You're like, well shit, yeah, I'm gonna stop talking to you, there's an urgent fucking call. So like obviously I would do that. But then if it's not life threatening, or maybe it wasn't as urgent as we thought, it's like, hey, sorry about that. Like, I'm sorry, what were you saying? And then it goes right back into where you were at. And I think that's handled really well.
Okay. Yeah, I always appreciate when games do that. God of War comes to mind.
I was going to ask, did God of War do that? I know that Kratos had a way to say, shut up, I don't want to hear what you're saying anymore, but I forgot if they picked
like
it back up.
if they're in the middle of a story and you get off on shore, when you get back in the boat, you're like, so what were you saying about this? And then they'll finish it. So
the last thing I have here, I'll be incredibly brief, is a game called Tectonica. You all don't want to hear about this. I'll tell you that right now. Tectonica is an early
part of this shit.
You don't want no part of this shit, Dewey. This is made by Firehose Games. It came out July 18th. It is currently $30 in early access on Steam, but it's also available on Game Pass as an Xbox preview game. The best way I can kind of break this one down is this,
say it, Bobby. Just say
what if Satisfactory was underground? And we
already have that. Isn't that SteamWorld Build?
No.
That's a city builder.
Yeah.
/
This is there is a lot more
this year still.
terraforming that happens with this one. So you can like actually mine through walls to get to an area. So like, hey, if there's ore over there, you can mine through it and create your conveyor belts. I think it's actually pretty cool. I saw some previews of this before it came out, and I was like, I don't know. But being on Game Pass, I thought I'd check it out. And I really do like some of the mechanics that they've got in place here for it. I haven't seen any sort of combat like you would have in Satisfactory, but there definitely seems to be maybe an ancient civilization type thing, or at least self-aware robots at one point in time that you're dealing with. I've encountered some sort of AI that's talking to me now, but it seems cool. I'm just a fucking sucker for these types of games, and
I know that you are a fucking sucker.
I've enjoyed it. The one thing I will call out early on that I think mechanically is neat, your box that like, so you'll have your mining equipment, then you have your processing for those, then it comes out and you can put like everything into a box, but each one of your tools has two outputs on them, and so I can easily split off of one miner. So like if I want this to go over and process or go into like an assembly, I can easily streamline how I would take bits and bobs here and either send a raw material or a processed material to another part to where then it can become another part. So I like that, and it allows me to build in a strategic way. But I've been kind of unwinding with this one a little bit. Viewfinder and Dave the Diver have really kind of preoccupied my time, but as I'm clearing off my plate before adding more to it, I might spend a little bit more time with it. But being a preview game, there's going to be a lot of iterations that I'll want to check out with it.
Sure.
So just to recap, I beat Dave the Diver. We talked a little bit about Oxenfree 2. We talked about Let's Revolution. Go back and watch our live stream from Monday night if you want to see it in action. And then we talked about Tectonica. We'll probably record some. We also have a quick look for Dave the Diver if you want to see our thoughts on that. But we got a few games that we'll probably record here and some quick looks on. Chase, you've got some big news to share, and I'd love to get to you.
Yes, I finished a video game.
Hot damn.
I know. Everybody, please reward me.
He's back.
Johnny should buy me lunch at this point.
Well,
I finished Viewfinder, which is a pretty short game. It's like 3.5 hours, but I did finish it. I had a great time. It is just a supremely inventive game. We did a quick look of it. It is out. It's out now, right?
Yeah. Viewfinder's out as of Tuesday.
Nice. And we tried to stay pretty spoiler free. We did a really early area in Viewfinder.
Light mechanics, that sort of thing. Keep it very simple.
Yeah. But I think the way they layer on mechanics, it never allows itself to get boring. it's not a particularly difficult game. It does have some stuff that I would say is brain bendy, and you go, oh wow, that's cool and inventive, but it's rarely ever, oh, I'm doing like DLC portal test chambers. Like it is not meant to be stumping you.
I found the fourth hub to be the most brain bendy so far.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see because the things that they add in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, I don't think it wears out its welcome at all.
I was going to ask you if it sticks to landing.
I think so. The story stuff I think is maybe the least interesting part of that game, but I still think it does well. I think
it's easily missed too, right? Like, I mean, there's some certain parts of the story that you can just completely skip over, right?
Yeah, more or less. Like you can just kind of avoid things. I mean, it has some BioShock style audio logs, and you can just not listen to any of those if you don't want to. It does have I guess I will say for people, it does have a witness style final puzzle that is timed. It's a pretty generous timer. In fact, it also has in the options, which is the way that it kind of got spoiled for me a little bit. It just has an accessibility option that says, "Hey, do you want to just turn off the timer?"
Oh, that's nice that they do that.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, something's going to be timed eventually." So there is kind of a timed thing near the end, which I thought was really fun. And I left the timer on, and I had to redo it once. But when I redid it once, I got through it quite easily.
Nice.
It's such a cool game. It looks great. It sounds great. I don't know how to make video games, and I sure as shit don't know how they made this video game, because there's so many things of just being able to like take a photo and hold it up, and then the photo becomes the world geometry, and how you can not only layer it on top of stuff, but you can use it to use that kind of mechanic to cut away parts of the level and cut away like the mechanics of something, of like, oh, I need this button to turn on, but I can just take away the button. There's a trophy, because I'm playing on the PS5. There was a trophy that I took away the teleporter. I just destroyed the teleporter, and it went, hey, that's a cool thing. That's a dumb thing you shouldn't have been able to do.
Right.
But you did it anyway. Here's a trophy for it. I just found it great. It's one of my favorite games that I've played this year, and
I'm going to get a little inside baseball for us here at the Casual Hour. For me, like, I know Chase loves games, and I know that Johnny beats games. These are two true statements that we don't say too often here. And I know that the whole joke has always been like, Bobby's a game whore when it comes to things. Johnny doesn't finish things, and Chase hates things. But
these are all just true statements.
But when Chase loves something, it is one of the most contagious fucking things. And I love it when he loves
That's
something.
why you both have played Tokyo Mirage Session Sharp FE.
No, I didn't say I respect it. I said I loved it. I have standards, you piece of shit. But no, it's so cool to be experiencing something like that with you, because quite frankly, like, you play a lot of older shit, you play a lot of like weird shit, which is awesome. That's what I love your perspective on. But we don't get to experience, especially like Johnny and I do more than like you and I, but that's changed a little bit over the years. But whenever you like something and it hits for all of us, you kind of just like become very contagious with your enthusiasm for it. And that's been felt with this one.
And I think, I mean, I also feel like I'm a harsh critic.
Yes, assuredly.
even for games that I love,
I've never had that thought before.
I find nits to pick. That is what I do. And I just don't really have them with Viewfinder.
Yeah, man.
So I've seen the arguments of people going, "Oh, this game is too short," or "This game is too easy," and I can understand those arguments. I don't necessarily agree with them. Could I get like a DLC pack of harder levels? Sure, I'd take that. I'd play some more of that. But I really just love what this game is, and I think it does a fantastic job at what it sets out to do.
It's awesome, man. Viewfinder, we got a quick look out for it. That game's $20. It's on PlayStation, and it's also on PC.
Yeah,
or $24. Maybe.
I think that's right. Yeah, I would suggest using a controller if you can. I'm sure the keyboard works just fine. The rumble in that game, I think they do some really cool stuff with the rumble. I played it on the PS5, so I had the DualSense, which has some updated extra rumble stuff in there. But I'm sure the PC version rumbles just fine as well. But the rumble is pretty.
Let's
good.
get ready to rumble.
Yeah, I think it's quite good.
Do you say that every time that you start the game up?
That is not something I've done. No.
Oh,
no.
Damn it!
I've played another game. It's a game that I am technically contractually obligated to beat before the end of this month.
Yes.
I don't know anybody lunch for it if I don't.
It's
but
true.
as part of my backlog roulette, the game for July was Gunpoint, which is a game I've always wanted to play.
It's an older game, right?
Yeah, it's
when did that come out?
It was like a decade ago at this point.
If it's a decade ago, that's gonna make me feel real sad.
2013, yeah.
Jesus.
June 2013.
Yikes. That's oof. Yeah, so Gunpoint's it's a game. Johnny, can you look up the developer?
I got it's Suspicious Developments.
Yeah, but the one guy,
Tom Francis.
Tom Francis, thank you. Tom Francis used to be a game reviewer, I believe, maybe at PC Mag or maybe one of those British ones. I can't remember. Who could say?
Who would say?
But he got into game development, and this, I believe, was his first like real commercial product that he put out. And I remember getting good reviews. I remember seeing it and thinking that looked really cool. He then went on to make Heat Signature, which is another game I think looks really fucking cool, and it is on the backlog roulette list, and I've got it on Steam, and I want to play that one too. But I'm glad Gunpoint was the one that came up first, because I kind of wanted to see his first work. Gunpoint, for those who don't remember a game from a decade ago, is a mission-based, not side-scrolling, like a 2D stealth spy action game. So it's not really Mark of the Ninja, but I think Mark of the Ninja gives you like a good starting point of what we're kind of talking about. Which that's probably an even older game than 10 years ago.
Mark,
so
I'll look that one up. I know there's a remaster of that.
On the Switch, it plays great. People should play Mark of the Ninja. God, it's gonna be like 2012 or something. It's gonna make me so sad.
It's September 7th, 2012.
Yeah.
Christ.
Time is a thief.
Yeah, that makes me feel so old. Gunpoint, though, has you playing, like, the main mechanic is that we
record earlier now, so you can feel old. It's okay. We made a space for you. Welcome.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, I might be the youngest person on this podcast, but I also am still old.
Yes.
So the gimmick with Gunpoint is that you can, I guess the game has two gimmicks. One is that you can jump. You can jump real far.
Oh, it's Final Fantasy 16.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. No, the jump in here, the longer you hold down your mouse click, you get like a little arc, and you're able to figure out your jump based on that. And you're able to jump onto walls. You're able to jump through windows. You're able to pounce onto guards and then knock them out by punching them. But the idea is, hey, you're able to kind of like do all these jumps back and forth. It feels a little bit more like it's not turn-based, but it's certainly a slower paced kind of like In Plus. If you guys have played In Plus or In Plus Plus or those kinds of games, where it's a lot about like big arcing jumps. This is about that, but it's being a little bit more methodical about when you jump and how you jump and any of that kind of stuff. The other gimmick mechanic that it has is that you can go into kind of a Batman style detective vision.
Oh, neat.
And from that vision, you're able to see the like circuits and see the connections between electronic objects.
Dope. That's really cool.
What you need to do in the game is a mix of navigating platforming stuff with the jump stuff that you can do, and then also go in and switch switch these circuits around.
Are you a thief in this? Is that what this is?
You're a spy, so you are doing some thievery stuff. You're doing some hacking stuff, and I'll get to more of the premise in a second after I finish the circuit stuff, because it is such a it's a really interesting mechanic, because what they do here is that I'm able to say, okay, I want to go from this light switch that's in this room. I want this light switch, which they show you a little line in that Batman Vision. It's like, this light switch works for this light. So if you were to flip that switch off and turn that light off, a guard would come over and flip that switch and turn the light back on.
Nice.
With me so far, like pretty standard stuff.
Yes.
But I can now say, what if I switched that light switch to this door? So now I flip the switch, and instead of the light coming on or going off, this door opens. Or I could do both, where it's like, okay, I have it going to do both of these things, and I flip the switch and the lights go off and this door opens. And you're able to start doing things that manipulate the guards into going where you want, or into performing other actions. Like I can use this light switch on the first floor to turn off this light on the second floor, but then the second floor light switch I want to connect to the door on the first floor. So now I can flip the switch. The guard on the second floor goes, oh, it's dark, I need to turn the light back on. He flips that switch, and instead of turning on the light, he opens the door for me. And you start to kind of puzzle out the level like that, and then you use your platforming to navigate through. And I think it's got some really interesting ideas with that stuff. And you'll eventually get to, hey, these are secure circuits, and now you have to, like, this. Now you can do everything that's green, and the green is like a subsection of all the different things that you can do, versus red, which are like the unsecured circuits. But now here's like a purple circuit. So now you have to go, okay, I've got to get to this room, so then I can flip this thing on, and now I can do all of my gimmick fuckery. And now I have to go to that room so I can do my gimmick fuckery on this other thing. It's really cool. I think it's got some really cool ideas to it.
And if we go by, one of my favorite radio DJs is on Sirius XMU. Her name is Jenny LSQ. She runs a throwback segment, and her rule for basically, like, it's like an indie rock channel. Anything that's 10 years or older is good. So I feel for the casual hour, quick look back, this falls into that category if you felt compelled to do something on that.
Same with like a classic car, right? You know, if it's 10 years old, that's just a classic at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I got a classic Ford Escape.
Yeah. I remember I was talking to as part of my agency, we went and talked to a classic car dealership, and he was telling us, basically any car that's 10 years old. And I was young and stupid at the time, and I raised my hand. I was like, well, I've got a 96 Ford Thunderbird. Would you call that a classic? And he looked at me, he's like, no, I would not. I know. He's like, I know that's over 10 years old, but nah, son, that's not what we're talking about here. Yeah,
Chase,
fair enough.
You beat Viewfinder, which we're all thrilled to hear, and you are fulfilling your commitment to spinning the wheel, which tune in next week to see that wheel that we're talking about with Gunpoint.
Yeah, I'll probably talk about this again next week. But I do want to just mention, I think the story stuff has been pretty solid. I think it's the writing is really funny. There's just a lot of really funny writing, where at one point you have like a company that has hired you as like a mercenary spy to go and steal one thing, and then the other company that you stole it from sends you a message and goes like, hey, I know you stole that shit from us, but I like know you're like freelance, so it's fine, but now I want to hire you to do this other thing. And you're like, why would you do that? I fucked you over. And it's like, yeah, but I don't really care. There's just some really funny moments in it. I'm having a blast with that. So it has been really cool. It's also supposedly really short, like supposed to be 3 or 4 hours long. I've put about an hour and a half into it, so I'm probably about halfway, and I think it's really cool. The one little issue I've had so far is mostly a chase issue and less a game issue. It's that I just don't like playing on a keyboard. The game doesn't have controller support. It's not built for controller support. Probably why it's never gotten a port to any other console. But just the the way of like, oh, I need to hit like the left alt button to go into detective vision mode, but then like left shift is my is when I can draw my gun, and I got to use the number keys as like the soft reset
it definitely
for stuff.
takes some getting used to, especially if you've grown up on console, but
Totally.
it does start to click.
Yeah.
It feels a lot like when I first tried to learn guitar, and it was, I didn't know my fingers were supposed to bend like that in that combination of ways. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I've gotten a little bit better to it. I tried to kind of change the controls a little bit to suit my hands and my keyboard. It also doesn't help that I have the Mac keys still, because I can flip my keyboard from Mac to PC. So I don't actually have a left alt button. I have a left option button. But I have a right alt button. But that's I've screwed myself. It's
a Chase problem.
But yeah, that's been the only issue. Is just, man, I wish my brain was smarter to my hand to tell me what I'm doing, because I know what I'd like to do in the game, and I think I could, because some of these things require a little bit of timing, and I wish that if I had a controller and these things were all mapped to a controller, I feel like I could do that thing really easy. But knowing like, oh, I got to look back down and like, where'd my alt button go? Okay, there it is, and then A, and then S, and that's been my only issue. And again, that's a me issue. If you played PC games for any length of time, I'm sure it's not going to be an issue for you. But that game is super cheap. You should go check it out, and then probably check out Heat Signature too, because that game also just looks like it's fucking rad.
Nice. Well, let's talk about the news, shall we? How's that?
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Quick update on the Activision acquisition.
Yes.
So the FCC or FTC? One of the FTC.
That's who they were in court with. Yeah.
Yes. That got overturned.
Stands for trade.
But yes, it does. But there's still there's that one, the CMT in the UK.
Country Music Television.
Yes. Try that in a small town, Chase. Anyway, they pushed the deadline back to October 18th.
Oh, my mom's birthday! Happy birthday, Mom!
Happy birthday!
I
Mrs.
got you
K.
a merger and acquisition.
So I feel like this deal's all but like it's gonna go through, right? They're just trying to figure some stuff out. Maybe
and crucially, like with Activision and Microsoft agreeing to this new date, Microsoft doesn't have to pay their how many ever millions of dollars
I would think
supposed to do as like
if it seemed like this wasn't going to happen, they would have just said no, pay us our money. So that will probably go through maybe before the 18th of October. They're probably just giving themselves lots of runway. Gundam Evolution, Chase, you know it, you love it. Unfortunately, it's being shut down.
I didn't particularly.
More like Gundam De-Evolution, am I right?
Oh,
it's whatever. It wasn't an amazing game. This is not me. I'm not holding this L. This is not on me.
You're sad. Be sad. Strong men do cry.
I still think it's a better game than Overwatch 2.
Sure,
that's a low bar. And a low blow.
Exactly. It's a very low hurdle to clear.
Yeah, it is, and I think it cleared it. But it's dying, and Overwatch 2 is sticking around. So there is no justice in the world. Apparently.
There isn't. Go Zed about it. It shuts down on November 29th of this year.
Gundam Evolution is joining the Ghost Parade, as they would say.
The Black Parade, hell of an album.
Yeah. It's a Gundam reference.
The Lance killed Gundam De-Evolution.
Speaking of life being unfair and Blizzard, they put out that big patch and the first season. And Bobby, would you say it's received wide acclaim and love from users?
It certainly made Blizzard have a fireside chat.
It did.
Hey, people are talking about it, and that's what's important, right?
I got to tell you, if you had a game that came out in June, correct, or was it May? Was it May? It was June. May. June. If you had a game that came out in June, and you were promising delivering a really big seasonal update, and people who had bought the more expensive part of your game was excited to check that out. But the week of said season going live, you put out one of the most fumbled bullshit fucking patches.
You made Asmongold quit.
Absolutely, dude, shut it down midstream. And I not that I am like a huge Diablo enthusiast. I really thought I liked 4, and I'm sure they'll tweak some stuff and I'll go back to it.
You're like the #1 Infinite player, right?
But yeah, I haven't even played this season yet because it just like all the news.
Sorry, what did they fuck? What exactly did they fuck here?
They fucked over the sorcerers. Like, they were already the least powerful class, and that's the class that I'm playing as, and it's just like,
well, that explains it. They just wanted to screw you over.
Yeah, they knew I would be too powerful.
Yeah,
they nerfed a ton of stuff, which is always going to upset people. Sure. They also had a situation where their nightmare dungeons were balanced in a way that was problematic. There's also been, and not too surprisingly, this was not
like problematic and like it's too difficult, or
like the leveling that would come into it, especially for like folks early on playing hardcore, or not early on, but again, you are like, you can't do any of the seasonal activities unless you've hit credits, which that's not a patch thing, but that's just, you're starting a new character out, you're kind of squishy. And they've since, I think that they actually put out on Friday when they had this chat, a hot fix for some of these things, and that was one of the things that they lowered the difficulty. I can't remember exactly what they said it would be equal to, but it was equal to another tier in the game that people will be playing on. But those nightmare dungeons are kind of like the end game thing, and you have to work to get to it, and they just were done in a way that was pretty shitty. Again, I think further nerfing classes that were already kicked and down, like there's some problems there with it, but
it's just taken all the wind.
Yeah, let me ask you this. I feel like you guys and the world were pretty high on Diablo 4
after level 20, man. Like that, but like after level 20, it became
so it had like, but you're saying it had these problems even at the beginning, but this patch has exacerbated things.
Well, they had issues during the beta depending on what class you were playing. So I was a necromancer, Johnny was a sorcerer, but I think if you asked us both leading up to our first test of the game, we were probably feeling a druid, and that was not available at that first pass. They had a barbarian. It became pretty clear, and all these channels were alluding to that Blizzard really fucked their melee based classes. It just did not feel fun to play. They were not hitting for nearly as hard, so they were going to tweak and give them some love. And then the druid comes out the next playtest, which was the following week or 2 weeks later, and it's somehow worse. And I think that they've struggled out of the gate from the betas to find a fair balance to make these characters feel good. And so early on there's been problems, yes, and there's been balancing issues. So like as Johnny alluded to, the demos or the betas, whatever you want to call them, they capped you at 20. And so
that whole, like, I was like, this is awesome, and then
totally going through that 1 to 20 is fantastic, but then to get to 50 before you Paragon. And I know that this is not unique to Diablo 4, but I got to tell you, not that I should have known, because 3 did this. I don't like the idea of a seasonal character. And I think that makes it really shitty, because my main character that I've hit Paragon with, that I've beat the game with, that I've done all this stuff for, I could either roll a new necromancer and then transfer shit over to them, or I could play another class, which is kind of what I want to fucking do after beating the game. But if there's things tied to a battle pass, tied to a season, well, now what the fuck do I do? Do I play it here? Do I play it there? Like, I don't fucking know. And
I know some people like that seasonal model. In like, it's almost like an extended roguelike in that way of, it's kind of like doing a run, and it's cool that I get to do this. Pierce is no longer in the chat now, or maybe he's not, I don't know, but I know he was a big fan of 3, and I believe he also enjoyed that seasonal model of like, hey, it's cool to go in and be able to roll a new character, just for this season and know that it's kind of temporary, but also get to go on that grind again. Like, and like what you guys said, like going on that grind from 1 to 20 was really fun. So what if you got to just keep doing that each season and you don't get to the point where you just kind of keep snowballing into the parts that you don't like, which are the bigger.
Well, that's the
like
thing, though. Like, to get the
grind.
stuff worthwhile, you're going to have to eclipse 20 and kind of go back to it.
Mhm.
I'll just like a closing thought on this before we move on. Based off of what I'm seeing in the news and just kind of seeing on charts right now, yesterday I believe is when Remnant 2 came out, and it's getting critically acclaimed. Like, it's people really like that game. And as Johnny's working on Tears of the Kingdom towards the 3rd of August, you've got next week Baldur's Gate 3, and it's a really shitty time for Diablo to fucking step in their own piss like they have here.
And not much further than that, it's Armored Core. Like,
yes,
it is. There is this kind of thing where I remember when Diablo 3, the only thing we talked about, and it's not like video games weren't coming out when Diablo 3 came out, but
it's fucking Diablo.
Yeah, it was Diablo in the same way of like a Destiny. Sure, we can bitch about Destiny all we want, but Destiny's not going anywhere.
Right.
Like, they're gonna keep making Destiny stuff. It's gonna keep making the news. People are gonna keep playing that. Maybe not as many people as did at one point, but they're still gonna be there. And it felt like it was the same thing with Diablo 3. And I don't know if just the landscape of games have changed, if things just have gotten way too much faster than before, but it feels like
it's just kind of
came and went
with the seasonal stuff. I don't know. Like, I may go back to it eventually, but for right now, like, I'm good.
And it's not that games can't do that anymore. Like, we're still talking about Zelda. I think a lot of people are still talking about Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for a franchise like Diablo, it seems nuts that
and I mean 3 had a rough start too, so I don't know. We'll see what they do with it.
They probably should put a real money auction house into Diablo 4.
Now
I think
we're
that's
talking.
what everybody's actually clamoring for.
Yeah,
I think that'll fix it all.
And then lastly, some more positive stuff. That Armored Core 6 footage,
so fucking cool looking.
Looks pretty good.
They put out what was it, like a 13-minute trailer?
It was very comprehensive and like saying like this is the mission structure. Hey, look at every part of this mech. You can go in and customize. You can even paint it different colors. And
I didn't see anything that talked about like, I know in previous Armored Core games, even though I haven't played them, like there was a punishment almost. Like if you got damaged during a mission, you'd have to pay that out of your own pocket or pay that out of your mission.
I have not played these before, so I have no
idea. If they talked about that during that video, I missed it.
Yeah, they certainly didn't talk about it, but I'm just wondering if that's still something that's going to be in the game, because it could be a way to. I mean, I don't think the money was ever that punishing, but I guess technically it could be a way to kind of soft block you of, wow, you don't have enough money to pay your debts on this stuff.
So Art Space Shipwrecker all of a sudden? What the hell?
Kind of, yeah.
It looks really good though.
I wondered how punishing that stuff would be, because that does sound like something that From would like. Like the whole point is making their game punishing or having an economy that allows you to stuff.
I don't think I was ready for how aggressive your mech is. Like, it just looks very fast. Very fast. And like, it's like a hornet. It's like, it will fuck you up if you get close to it. And I was just really impressed with the fluidity of it and how they handled it. I think that looked really cool.
Yeah, I also just really liked the power and the impact that it looked like melee weapons had.
Yeah.
Like this seems like a game where you're just shooting off thousands and thousands of missiles, and
then you zoom in and you fucking.
But yeah, and it was like shooting off tons of missiles, boom, 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 boom. But then it was that, okay, now I'm going in for the finishing blow. Finishing blow was a fucking sword to your face, and
made
like
me
those
think
were
of
the ones that were
Titanfall,
like one shot.
Which I realized. Yeah, I realized Armored Cores existed way before Titanfall.
It looks very fucking cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I'm excited, more excited than I have.
There we go.
Software game. It's one that I know I'm going to pick up day one. It is a From Software game, so I'm sure it'll have stuff that I absolutely hate in it. But it is exciting to be excited about this stuff. And I'm really, really interested. Johnny, you did mention, you said co-op. I know there are like missions going on them with NPC characters, but is there actually co-op of like, could we go into each other's worlds and fight together?
I'm not sure. On the Steam page it says online PvP, so maybe
okay.
Maybe when those like co-op missions, it's just bots that are with you. Because you had like ally armored cores with you.
Yeah, I mean, man, that'd be kind of a bummer knowing that Elden Ring had just the ability to jump into somebody's game and we could go and fight things together. Like, imagine if we were all in mix.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be cool. So yeah.
Well, Johnny, thanks for taking us through the news. We had a lot of fun stuff tonight to talk about. We went down on Viewfinder, Gunpoint. We talked about Dave the Diver, Oxenfree 2, Blitz Revolution, Tectonica, Mario Kart 8, Wave 5, Street Fighter 6 update, and Johnny did a brief Tears of the Kingdom update. We talked about that Activision deal, Gundam Evolution.
Bobby, what lunch do you want to...
We're going to get some Grace and Meat, get some catfish. So you can come and watch me eat it if you want to.
You know how much I love watching you eat.
Watch me eat.
He's a food warrior.
We're going to mukbang. So this week we've had...
I hate that.
We've had a few changes to our programming. As you can see over here on the left, we have updated. This is the first official updated piece with our new hours. We used to be 10:30. We're now 9 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right here on Twitch. And if you want to catch up on some of the other stuff we've done, you can go to youtube.com/casual, or you can take that link over in chat, and that'll get you where you need to go. We also post this podcast every Friday morning, wherever you listen to podcasts. So if you can't ever tune in and you still want to stay up to date, definitely do that. But you should make an effort to watch our monthly previews, and we have one happening next week that you should be a part of, because we talk over trailers, we tell you about the games we're excited for. We'll probably even look at a little bit more Armored Core 6 next week. A good invitation to return. But we also do quick looks, and those are just us talking over gameplay about games that we are checking out. A wide variety of them. This week was Viewfinder. Tomorrow, if you're watching this with us live, will be Pikmin 4. I'll talk more about Pikmin 4 next week. But I had a lot of things to catch up on this week to share with you. But Friday night, I'm going to be on assignment this weekend, so I will not be around to help out with the stream on Friday, so we will not be streaming. But Johnny did mention that we're going to come back next Friday and get weird with some role-playing in Baldur's Gate 3. So we've got that, and I'll even tease next Monday. We're going to check out one of our favorites, Mini Metro. So we got Mini Metro on Monday. We've got a monthly preview on Wednesday, and we've got Baldur's Gate on Friday. And if you go to any of our social channels that we have listed here, you can follow along with our weekly schedule, so you can stay up to date on what's happening. But before we do all that, Chase, you talked about your show at the beginning. If you want to plug stuff right now, let's get in there and do it. And
I'll just give a quick refresh of what I said at the beginning of the show. I have another podcast I did called Pilot Program with our good friend Pierce Corshane. He and I watched the first episodes of every TV show ever made. We're going on hiatus with the strikes that are going on with the WGA and SAG-AFTRA. You can go back and listen to previous episodes that we've done on shows like The Bear and Sailor Moon and RuPaul's Drag Race and Seinfeld and plenty of those. They're all out there. You can go to shows.acast.com/pilotprogram. And then in the meantime, I don't know, maybe with all this extra time, I'll go back and do something with Gamers on the Go, my handheld video game podcast. You can find that at gamersonthego.com. That's also where I put all the end of month articles that I do for the Backlog Roulette. I write about each game that I've played for that, so you can go back and see the one I did for Codename Steam, which was last month, a game I despise, and you can read all the reasons I despise that game. I'll tell you, there in a week or two, there's going to be a much more glowing one about Gunpoint, so so you can look forward to that as well. So that's available, and then maybe I'll also start doing some recordings on YouTube again and do my Chasey K Plays channel. I still need to finish SteamWorld Heist, which is a fantastic game, and then I have another idea of something I would like to do later. So lots of options. You can find them all in my link tree there. But the big one, we're going on hiatus for Pilot Program, and I'll let you know when that show is back, because
sounds good.
We were going to do Twilight Zone, and I was really excited about that. So we'll do that as soon as we're back, I'm sure.
For sure. All right, John, anything from you?
Nope.
Sounds good. All right, we'll talk to you all on Monday. Take care.